All right, everyone, we're going to get into a needs analysis and a program breakdown for a golfer. If you need to pass the CSCS, Brock Little and I, we got you covered. Instructors for Show Up Fitness. We have classes weekly. We can get you to pass this within 90 days. More importantly, the application and how do you do it? And so that's what we're going to take a look at today. Golfing and how to design a program. So let's take a look at some typical photos. I like bringing up John Daly, one of the greats of the old day, known for being a smoker and a drinker. And there's a hilarious interview with him. I think it's on like CNN, and he's drinking a beer and he's talking about how he gave up alcohol and he's been clean for it's like 6 months or something. And the interviewer was like, "But John, you're drinking right now." And he goes, "Oh, Coors Light? No, this is water. This is fine." It's like, I'm talking about liquor. And so the guy is just known for being a partier. And you look at golfing of the yesteryear, typically you wouldn't put him into this group of, running back athletes where they look really good. But now today we're starting to see more guys like this. And so, a little bit about this guy. You were talking about his drive and everything. You have a great background in golf too.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. So it's changed a lot. I mean, I think one of the best modern day examples. I'll talk about D Shambo, then I'll go kind of even when it started. We have Bryson D Shambo. We're looking at him. He's one of the top golfers right now, and he's driving the ball. He's driving him over 400. I think there was one in the Ryder Cup. He hit about 420. He's averaging well over 300. He's turning long par fours into what they call drivable, meaning you can get to the green. Yeah, you can see the guy when they average. He was always a bigger guy and put on 20 pounds of muscle even since he's been pro. But yeah, I think the change, at least from everything I know and have been informed, was really kind of seeing just people didn't realize how strong Tiger Woods was, like from a strength standpoint. He wasn't starting off. Tiger wasn't this big jack guy, but he got bigger. There was a point where he was benching well over 400 pounds, which you never expect from a golfer. But a lot of it comes down to some things we'll talk about in the needs analysis, which are things like club head speed and just torque. And as everybody continues to get stronger and better, like skill is obviously great. And there's obviously some guys who aren't driving the ball like a Bryson, but their skill is great. But you need that advantage. Power is so important in transverse plane movement. And some of these guys, you look at Bryson, you look at Brooks Koepka, another guy. These guys aren't little, and they're actually good rivals, and neither one of them are shrimp guys. I'll tell you that.
So if you don't have a background, I've played 18 holes a couple times. I'm not a golfer at any means. I would feel more than comfortable working with someone because I understand the needs analysis. And so you take a look at the demands for the sport, common injuries, the muscles that are used, muscle actions. And also you got to remember that this is a sport where people will spend a lot of money. How much are we spending for some nice clubs, Brock?
Oh my goodness, well into the thousands. I'm learning the hard way as I continue to get more and more hooked at my time. Like, there's single clubs out there. You're talking $400 or $500 for if it's built.
So if you're wanting to get into the strength and conditioning world, and you have someone who wants help with golf, awesome. But you could also go invest into yourself. Go out there too. So in La Jolla, we have Torrey Pines right there. Go spend $300-400. Get not assistant. What do we call them? What are they called? A coach. What do we call them? They're
golf instructor.
Golf instructor. There you go. Pay him a couple $100 and say, my goal is I want to help golfers increase their game and become better. I'm willing to train you 3 times a week for free if you give me some referrals. And that's how you can design some really good funnels and networking, because people will spend a boatload of money to improve their golf game. And so we're going to design a program here in a second, but this is a good contribution of energy systems to meet physical demands. So when we look at the energy systems, people will try to simplify them and just say aerobic and anaerobic, but it's really more aerobic, meaning oxidation, and we have slow glycolysis. Those are going to be using oxygen, part of the process to deliver ATP. And then for the anaerobic processes, we're going to have ATP, which is adenosine triphosphate. which we can bind with organic creatine. It's in the body already to create more ATP, and that's the phosphagen system. So ATP-PC is what they'll call it. And then we have fast glycolysis. So really there's those subdivisions. And when we try to simplify it by just saying aerobic or anaerobic, there's a little more to it. And I like this breakdown because it's going to be ATP-PC with fast glycolysis, and then slow glycolysis and oxidative, and then purely oxidative. Remember, when it comes to bioenergetics, it's never one, it's a combination. So it's primarily 1, 2, and 3 with a little bit of 4 and a little bit of 5. It's never 100% just one. An endurance marathon runner, so you can look at them, 70% oxidative, 20% slow glycolysis, and then 10% anaerobic at the end when you do a sprint. Something that's very, very explosive like golf, you're going to have the highest on there, which is 95% ATP, but you're still going to have anaerobic aspects. And it's the fast glycolysis right here, but you're not going to have much aerobic. But when you're walking from, hole 1 to 2, if you don't want to take your golf cart, sure, there's some aerobic component to it, but having, and this is something we're going to look at with today's example, the guy is 5'5", 185 pounds, and he wants to get in better shape for golf, training 2 to 3 times per week. And he reached out and said, I got to start doing more cardio. And sure, it can help with losing weight, but so can not having a 12-pack while you're going and you're hitting the 18 holes. And so it's more of calories in at that point. If you want to go run a mile or 2 or 10, that's fine, but it's not going to help you with your sport.
Yeah, exactly. And like, yeah, just that, I think that's so important. And obviously you always want to ask which is more important, is that golf swing or a cardio over your rapid weight loss. But as Chris said, we know we can lose that weight without extensive long distance cardio. But like, if he's really focused on getting better at golf, we need to improve anaerobic and force capacity. And again, yeah, like long bouts of cardio as with each session are going to actually, potentially compromise that force production. You're talking about you need a lot of you need to improve what we call that stretch shortening cycle. So like golf is almost, ironically, we don't think of it again because of the traditional body type. It's plyometric. The same movement, the stretch shortening cycle needed to jump as high as you can is the same thing you need to create power in your backswing. And so when you look at, like, for example, the best, think of it like a rubber band. The best way to think of it would be, do you think you're going to get more power swinging back and holding for 5 seconds, then swinging, or a quick load up and swing? It's going to be the latter because of that elastic stretch shortening component where energy is quickly transferred and you're able to generate more power than usual. And so, yeah, all that's anaerobic and power based. And if your goal is to get better at golf, a lot of your things are going to be power and strength based.
And I know in the CSCS, they'll ask about the mechanical aspect of the stress shortening cycle, and it's the series elastic component. Those are all things that we address in the class. But for today's purposes, we're just going to go over more the practical and what that program would look like. So maybe you have an athlete or a similar situation. And so we got to look at the plane of motion that we're primarily in. We're sagittal creatures. Running is all sagittal, sprinting. But golf is one of the unique sports where it's primarily transverse. You have a little bit of frontal plane stability. You're not doing much unilaterally. It's a bilateral transverse and transfer of movement. So you want to make sure you have the fundamentals, anterior core strength, lateral core strength. But if you've been playing golf for a while, you can start, doing a lot of exercises that are going to mimic the sport. And what would you put up there as some of them, like the quintessential exercises that you need to be implementing these part of a golf program?
Yeah, so a few things. So definitely something explosive. Anything that involves kind of the SEC. I love things. I love cleans. The best explosive like barbell based movement. I love medicine ball throws because you can do them in both. You can do them in that transverse plane. I love things such as wood choppers, or I've heard them call it, wood choppers, twist, payloft, press variations. You might hear that called ANSI, rotational work. And then outside of that, obviously you're mastering some of your just main strength movements, even though even though a squats maybe sagittal, there's still, improve things such as squats, hip thrusts, glute bridges, deadlifts, things that are going to improve that glute stability, because glute and hip stability are going to be, strength and stability are going to be some of the biggest things in creating torque and power.
So we got the energy demands. It's going to be less than a second. It's going to be plyometric based. And when we do that, we want to make sure that you don't go to the green and then smack 30 balls as fast as you can. It's one explosive, then you're resting. And so you're going to mimic that in the training. So very long rest periods. Rep range is going to be fairly short. Rep range, not rest. Rest is going to be longer. If you look at the ending position of the swing, you're going to have triple extension on the back end. So when you do these exercises, you want to make sure to get the plantar flexion, knee extension, and hip extension. So the muscles that are going to be transverse, your core, anterior, posterior, glutes are going to be huge, and so forth. So let's go. And when we design a program, as we were discussing earlier, this isn't like your typical sport where there's going to be a preseason, off season. We're going to design this for someone who's trying to improve the demands of the sport and lose weight. And so how many days do we want to do this, Brock?
I think we could go 3, especially since weight loss isn't one of his goals.
Okay. So how do you want to split up the days?
Yeah, I almost like doing it. I almost would like doing it in almost an undulated fashion. I'm thinking, days, since he needs to obviously improve on his technique and power, but he mentioned that weight loss goal. So I'm thinking maybe day 1 is more of a power-based day. Day 2 is going to be more of a strength-based day. And day 3 is going to be more of a, let's say maybe hypertrophy / hit, or like our cardio. I mean,
hit, whatever.
Yeah,
Yep.
Exactly. We can call it whatever we want to. So I like undulating it this way, because again, he does mention aesthetics, but we need to improve that golf swing. So and then we'll obviously have some accessory work in there for each day. Chris, did he mention any other goals besides just like weight loss? Did he say he wants to really strengthen the legs, or just weight loss?
He has a little bit of back problem. You'll see that a lot with golf, just from the transitional spots. So we can, add in some accessory planking and add in there. But so when we go to the program design, you want the power to be first.
Yeah.
So which power movement do you want to start out with?
Let's start out again, assuming this is assuming he's able. Again, this is assuming he's been in the program. We'll start with some cleans here. Again, if I needed to regress there, I could maybe do something and breaking down the phases of a clean. So maybe something like a power shrug if they can't do it. Some explosive movement similar to a clean, and as Chris put in the notes, you can do kettlebell, dumbbell cleans are regression. But again, we're gonna assume this guy has been training with us and has some kind of technical knowledge. We'll start. We'll go 3 by 5 here at about 75%. And again, we do, if you're aware of like rep ranges and percentage correlation, we know that 75 usually corresponds with 10 reps. But again, when you're doing a power movement, it's a little more neural. It is, and again, you're starting off with it. You wanna again make sure that you're not overloading the neural capacity. So instead of us doing 95 or 90% hit like we may usually, we're gonna go 75% to start. We'll keep it there. We won't superset that one. We'll go into a 2.
And just to reiterate real quickly for those that are following on, if you haven't seen these calls before, we're not putting much in there for the warm up because the coach is obviously going to do what they feel is most appropriate. So for this guy, if he has some back problems, maybe we're doing a bird dog, maybe we're doing planks, maybe you're doing maybe a set of kettlebell cleans at just to get the movement competency, the neural aspect there. And then you're going to get into the cleans and go from there. So the second part.
Yeah. And just a reminder before we go into that second part too, like you said, the coach will know what warm-ups to do. And if you're talking about an athlete that has a golf instructor, high school, college, pro golfer, or even somebody who just happens to have a golf instructor and doing it for leisure, make sure you're talking with them too, because they will tell you better than the athlete exactly what they need to work on. And you want to make sure you're working on the things that they need to improve on in the swing. So if you hear a guy say he just doesn't have the backswing, he doesn't have the trunk rotation to get into a proper backswing, I'd probably have something rotational and hip mobility in every workout. So something of that nature. Yeah.
And the 90-90 hip drills are great to do. So those are all good.
Yes, sir.
All right.
So two, we'll go into another. We'll go into our. Let's go into a push press here. Again, we're working on hip strength. Again, this is sagittal, but again, it's working on that hip explosiveness and hip ability. We'll go 3x6 here at about 80%. And let's superset that with the med ball wall toss, lateral. So again, med ball toss, it could be against a wall, or if you want to, be as the trainer, be involved with them, that's great too.
Usually like 5 to 10% of body weight there. So if you have a 10-pound one, when you start getting above like the 20, 25-pound ones, I don't know what your thoughts on there. One, they start getting expensive, but usually most gyms will have like a 6, a 10, a 15, and 20.
Yeah, and exactly like Chris put at the top, F times V means force times velocity. And you do want to you don't want the medicine ball heavy to the point where they're not even able to get proper velocity.
How many of these do you want to do?
Let's go 6 each side.
So you do your push press, hit your 6, 80%. You go in your med ball rotations, and then you'd be resting for, since it's core and triple extension on the backside, your upper body's resting. So 2 to 3 minutes here.
Yep, for sure.
And got that for 3 rounds, and then we'll go into the third one.
All right. Yep. For the third, at this point, again, this is when we can start, supplementing down and, other accessory work. We'll make this, since we got 3 days, we'll make this back accessory day. I think back is very important, obviously in a golf sport. Let's maybe do some back extensions here. We'll go there. Again, it's more of an isolated back exercise. We'll go 3 by 10. Pair that up with some accessory work. We can go into like just a bicep curl, or anything your athlete wants to work on here. Again, this guy didn't give us too many specifics of what he wanted to work on, so this is when you could just you throw in things, or hit full body, and then again we can if we needed to fit it from there. Optional, Chris, you want to finish with maybe one more thing?
You could throw in what do you think about a farmer's walk or a suitcase walk?
Yeah, I like that.
So maybe you try to get them up to, it's going to help them with grip strength, and that could be a good one to add in there. So you got the posterior chain, hamstrings are important, and the erector spinae muscles, biceps, and then farmers. Do that for 3 rounds. If you want to keep those rest periods short, you could literally go back extension, bicep curls, walk for a minute, and just go right back into back extensions, and just to get a little bit of a aerobic component there. And because of the cleans and the push presses, this will take about an hour. You do a good little 10-minute warm-up mobility stuff. And then, this will take 10, 12 minutes for the cleans, and the same here. So the whole thing would be about an hour.
Yep.
And ideally probably non-consecutive days, but it wouldn't be the end of the world if these were consecutive, right?
Yeah, exactly. If they are consecutive, again, you want to, work on proper rest and recovery, work different body parts. And again, you could always, again, if it was, and we could always, even, let's say, if we know that was a tough day, maybe switch, instead of doing a strength-based day, do the kind of high intensity based day as day 2. So again, those are things, if you do go back to back, is just being aware of athlete recovery, how they're feeling, and again, if you need to tweak, do it as so. But for now, for the sake of this, we're assuming it probably wasn't a back to back. We're going to go right into strength.
Mm-hmm.
So for our strength day, let's start off again. We'll get a little more lower body focus in this one. Not that we didn't in the first one, but I would say more full. The upper body focus was day 1. We'll start off this day with some squat. We'll go in this first day. We'll stay in And remember too, when we're in like strength starting off, you don't have to necessarily go into a maximal strength range, meaning 5 or less. So I would put 3 by 8 here, even though again, you might, I know some of us that are, have certification that say, oh, that's hypertrophy. Again, understanding strength and hypertrophy can be a hybrid in some sense, especially when you're starting off in a new program. We'll go 3 by 8, let's say at about 80%. All right, then we'll go, we could pair that up. Let's go A with a core, plank, throw a core in there again, keep them moving again. This guy has mentioned, wanting to lose weight. So again, max strength isn't his main focus. We can superset. We can get more work in if he wants to get him more movement throughout each session. From here, let's get into a little bench. I might even, again, depending on where he's at, dumbbell press or bench. DB chest press. We'll go in. We'll go 3 by 8 to 10, whatever you feel in here. We'll pair that up with like an upper body, maybe like a chin up. We'll go 3 by max. From there, let's go into some. Would like to hit some. I always like hitting unilateral, so maybe a single leg hinge here.
And just so, if you wanted to, as a coach, if you wanted to, the first set you do 10, and then the second set you do 8. Then if you want to back it off for the last set, if you wanted to do, unilateral, so 10 on the right arm, 10 on the left arm, you can do that. It doesn't need to be so black and white where it has to be, bilateral pressing. And as Brock's getting into here, we're doing a single leg hinge, you said?
Yep.
Dumbbell, kettlebell, what do you want to use?
Let's go dumbbell to start.
And that's usually going to be contralateral. So left leg on the ground, hinging back, right arm coming down with the dumbbell.
Yeah.
And if you don't follow Brock, he has a lot of this stuff on his Instagram. He was doing a workout the other day with one of our trainers in West Hollywood. So you can see those. What's your Instagram again?
Instagram is going to be Rock B Training. So ROCKB TRAINING.
How many do you want
80 these.
And then
I like some rotation. Probably have this guy in rotation every day. So let's say Payloff here. If you don't know what a Payloff press is, that's going to be like a cable you're holding in mid stability pressing. So a cable or a band, if you don't have access to a cable machine, we're working anti-rotational stability as well as some slow time under tension press. We'll go 3 by 10 each side. Then let's go, and then I'd probably finish here with some maybe tricep work, tricep and like a core.
just piggyback over to those, just do some suitcase walks.
Yeah.
Triceps 3 by 10. Walks, kind of the same thing, 3 by a distance that you want. So if you did a minute here, you want to do 30 seconds here with a little heavier load. You got to be careful with recognizing how often he is resistance training, because if he's not and you get him really, really sore, he's really active in golf, and that starts to fuck up his game, he's never going to come back to you.
Yeah.
So that's why you want to do an assessment beforehand to see what he's been moving, especially when you start doing the anti-rotations and eccentric work. If he's never done chin-ups before and you have him do max and his back's all jacked up and then he can't even do the rotation the next time and it screws up his game, he's going to be talking shit about you the whole time. So make sure it's appropriate. And so this would be a good strength day. Yeah. And again, if you wanted to, just depending on where you're training them, go for a walk afterwards for 30 minutes. That's just going to help get to that ultimate goal of fat loss. So if you wanted to run a mile, it's not the end of the world. You could do it at the end of the workout, but just notice the hierarchy. We do things multi-jointed, explosive, powerful, strength in the beginning, and then you're getting into the other muscle groups that are important for the sport. So we have pushing, we have pulling, and then we isolate the areas that are important as well. And this last day, we're going to get more into the cardio / hypertrophy. So we'll just call this day 3, Metcon / hypertrophy. And what do we want to do here?
Yeah, exactly. So again, we can get into we'll do a couple things. We'll do a couple weight based hypertrophy, and then we'll just quickly get into like a circuit. So let's start here. with some we'll do some hip thrusts. We haven't done them on the week yet. They're great, glute, hamstring strengthening, which is great for the sport. We'll go high rep on those, like 3x12. We'll pair those up with going like a Arnold press or dumbbell shoulder press. Go 3x10 to 12, something like that. Then we can go into some, let's go in a little more back. Maybe let's do a lat pull down. One 3x12 to 15 if they want to. Maybe like a wood chopper here, something like that. Again, another twisting based exercise, 3x10 to each side. And then, and this one and this is when you, I think this is 3 right here, not 2, Chris.
Okay.
Yeah. So here, this is when this is going to be our fun day. We get a little more kind of Metcon. Maybe you do maybe we do something, Tabata every minute on the minute. So maybe we say, should we start maybe every minute on the minute, or what you thinking?
Yeah. You can do that for, what do you want to do?
Yeah. Let's do something like, we could throw 10 burpees, and that could easily, again, you can maybe, if you wanted to start, regress like a squat jump. We'll go 10 burpees for the first minute, go down. The next minute will be, 10 push-ups. Next, we'll go into, let's do something again. We're moving in multiple planes of motion in golf. It's still cardio, maybe like some lateral jump, or we call it ski jumps. And then the 4th minute, maybe we'll go 10 V-ups. If they can do that, if not, regress it into a bent knee sit-up. So we do that, every minute on the minute. That's 4 exercises. We do, maybe start with 3 to 4 rounds, and you can work up to 5. But again, that's a kind of, high intensity, getting that heart rate up. However quick they get it done in that minute, they get the rest of that minute to rest. So obviously we get more of that glycolytic range, and even though, again, we know obviously the main part of golf is ATP-PC, but there is a little glycolytic component, and we already mentioned that this guy wants to lose some weight, so we're kind of mixing in best of both worlds there.
So this is great. Now, when you look at this, if you're seeing exercises and only exercises, this is why you need to get into the class, because how Brock and I look at this is we see this as a hinge pattern. Now, Brock could be working with you and doing a kettlebell deadlift, where I could be doing a trap bar deadlift, and both of those are fine because it's the hinge pattern. So here, maybe you want to do a variant of a squat. So it's the patterns that we're looking at. The squat pattern, which is more knee dominant. The hip dominant will be your hinge, unilateral. And then doing your push and pull, we have vertical, we have horizontal, taking in consideration the client's goals. And then we do this for a good block of a month, and then you reassess to see how they're doing, and constantly progressively overloading. So this week you may be doing 3x5 at 75. Next week, maybe you keep that, maybe you drop the weight 5 pounds and you do it for 3 reps, and you're changing up, and that's the undulation aspect of the rep scheme and the load. And you're constantly going to be adapting and getting stronger. For down here at the end, if you don't want to do burpees, that's fine. You don't have to do them. Maybe you have a ski erg and you want to do your ski erg for X amount of time, or your client comes in, he's like, Chris, I really like those battle rope things. That's fine. You can put that in there. Now, if your client were to have shoulder issues, then you want to modify some of this stuff. So, maybe instead of a push press, you do a landmine, and maybe instead of the chin-ups, you would do an Aussie row. So you got to look at the injuries that are associated with the sport as well. And if they have an injury, you're going to need to regress it. And so it'd be good to, and if you have an opportunity with this golfer, say, I'd love to reach out to they call them the pro, right? The pro at your location.
Yep.
I'd love to reach out to your pro to have lunch with him one day, and to see if there's any things that he suggests. And then this is an opportunity for you to coach up that pro, get him in for a workout. And then that one client could turn into 10 people who are more than happy to pay $200 an hour to work with you, because that's how important golf is. And if you take a guy who's barely driving 230 yards, you're working with you for a couple months, and now he's crushing 275 plus and his back pain goes away, these guys are together. And I say guys, because typically it's, guys that go out there, you're going to have girls as well, but you're going to be together for 3 or 4 hours with someone. So they're going to be chopping it up and they're going to be like, oh, my trainer's better than the other trainer. You're going to have a laundry list of people who want to train with you. So always look out for the best interest of your client. We have these classes Monday through Thursday. They're recorded. They're live as well. You get full access to us. We've helped many people pass the CSCS. Anything you want to add in here, Brock?
No, I think that's just it. Like, it's piggybacking on that, making sure, these are ideas. Like, some of the important things, like the exercise we kind of mentioned on the left, things like cleans, medicine ball throws, anti-rotation things, have them in the program. But and then there are many variations, like he said. So always use variations, always regress and progress based on what this athlete can and can't do. And like I said, make sure you're always talking with his coach or their coach or anyone involved with them, and you're gonna see the difference. Like, that's one thing about golf. As a fanatic, we want any advantage to get better, and so doing these things are definitely gonna translate, especially if you're playing golf on the regular.
You notice the sound right now, Brock has, because he teaches classes Monday through Friday in person in Los Angeles. We're also in Austin, San Diego. So if you want the hands-on portion, we've had people with a background in strength and conditioning that want to go through. So even our basic internship will prep you for getting ready to work with athletes. And we have a lot of connections. We have one of our trainers in Santa Monica who works closely with Pacific Palisades. So there's opportunities to intern. If you're in LA, reach out to us on Instagram, showupfitness.com. Love to help you with your journey. Have a great rest of the day, everyone.